"You're not good enough for my son?" Those were the words Gloria had just spoken. Not shouted. Said clearly, calmly, with the certainty of someone who has said them many times before and knows exactly how much they hurt. Zainab, the girlfriend in question, looked at Chisholm, waiting for him to defend her. To say something. Anything. But Chisholm was staring at the floor, his jaw clenched, his hands in fists. He didn't say a word. "Leave," Gloria said to Zainab, not even looking at her. "My son is busy. He doesn't have time for women who don't understand family obligations." And Zainab did. She left. She cried in the car, but she left. This was the 5th time. The 5th girlfriend who'd heard Gloria's voice, felt the weight of her disapproval, and decided it wasn't worth the fight. The 5th woman who'd chosen to leave rather than battle for a man who wouldn't stand beside her. But nobody understood how it had gotten here. Nobody knew the real reason Gloria had become this woman, the gatekeeper of her son's life, the destroyer of his relationships, the woman who loved him so fiercely that she was suffocating him. And nobody knew that this time was different. This time, the woman Chisholm loved wasn't going to leave quietly. This time, Gloria was about to meet someone stronger than her fear. This is the story of a mother who tried to own her son's love, and the woman who taught her the difference between love and possession. Gloria wasn't always like this. There was a time when she knew how to let go. There was a time when she believed that love meant setting people free. She was born in Ibadan in 1958. Her father was a banker. Her mother was a teacher. She grew up in a home where books lined the shelves and conversations happened late into the night. She was curious. She was free. She was allowed to become whoever she wanted to be. At 22, she met Taiwo. He was a doctor. Ambitious. Brilliant. He looked at her like she was the most interesting person he'd ever met. She fell in love the way young women do, completely, without reservation. They got married. They had a home. And then, when Gloria was 25, they had Chisholm. She remembers the first time they placed him in her arms. She remembers the exact feeling, like her heart was suddenly outside her body, vulnerable to everything in the world that could hurt him. She remembers thinking, this is what love is. This is what it means to be afraid. But she managed it. She taught Chisholm to ride a bike and then she let him fall so he could learn to get back up. She taught him to try new things and she cheered from the sidelines without hovering. She believed, with the kind of faith that only a confident young mother can have, that her son would be okay. Then Chisholm was 7 years old. And Taiwo went to a conference in Lagos. He was supposed to come home on Friday. He didn't come home on Friday. Or Saturday. Or ever. They found his car wrapped around a tree on the highway to Lagos. He'd been hit by a truck. He died before the ambulance arrived. Gloria's entire life fractured in that moment. Not just because her husband had died. But because she realized something that destroyed her, she couldn't protect the people she loved from everything. She couldn't keep them safe from the world. She couldn't even keep her husband alive. She held Chisholm while he cried and she made a decision. A quiet, desperate decision that she didn't even realize she was making. She would build a world where Chisholm could never be taken from her. She would become so necessary, so central to his life, that he would never leave. She would be his world so completely that nothing outside of her could hurt him. In those early years after Taiwo died, it almost made sense. She was grieving. Chisholm was grieving. They clung to each other like they were the only two people in a collapsing world. But as Chisholm got older, the clinging didn't loosen. It tightened. When he was 9 and wanted to go on a school trip, she didn't let him. What if something happened? When he was 12 and wanted to join the football team, she refused. Too dangerous. Too much time away from home. When he was 15 and interested in a girl, she intercepted the letters, the phone calls, the budding relationship before it could grow. Your mother needs you, she would say. And Chisholm, who had grown up with a grief-stricken woman as his primary companion, believed her. He believed that his happiness mattered less than her need for him. He believed that leaving her for anything, a friend, a hobby, a girlfriend, was a betrayal. By the time Chisholm was in his 20s, he had internalized the message completely. He didn't date. He didn't socialize much. He came home every evening to a woman who had organized her entire life around him, who had made his emotional support her full-time job. Gloria didn't see this as control. She saw it as love. She saw it as the ultimate sacrifice, a mother who had given up her own life so her son would never know the pain of loss. She saw herself as a hero. But she was actually a jailer. And Chisholm was her prisoner. He just didn't know it. At 26, Chisholm finally rebelled. He met Amora at work. She was kind. She was intelligent. She didn't push him, but she gently suggested that maybe his mother could be okay without him every single evening. Amora lasted 2 weeks. Gloria called her a distraction. Gloria mentioned that Chisholm had a duty to his mother. Gloria mentioned, casually, that she had a heart condition and stress was dangerous for her health. Within 2 weeks, Amora had heard the message. She was a threat to Gloria's survival. She left. At 28, there was folic. Same pattern. Different details. Gloria was charming at first. Then she became critical. She questioned Folic's family background, her education, her intentions. She made Chisholm choose between 2 people he cared about. Chisholm chose his mother. Folic left. At 30, there was Odeola. This one lasted 4 months. Long enough for Chisholm to introduce her to Gloria's family friends. Long enough for Gloria to be embarrassed by her daughter-in-law's existence. Odeola wanted him to move out, to start a life with her, to put their relationship first. Gloria said, "You're trying to steal my son." Chisholm stood there, torn between 2 women, ultimately choosing the one who had raised him. Odeola left. Gloria had perfected the art of the takedown. She knew exactly what to say to make a woman feel unwelcome. She knew how to deploy her own fragility as a weapon, a sigh, a mention of her loneliness, a reminder that Chisholm was all she had. And she knew that Chisholm had been trained so well to put her first that he would never actually stand up to her. The women who came into Chisholm's life all reached the same heartbreaking conclusion: he didn't actually want a partner. He wanted permission from his mother to have a partner. And his mother would never give it. Gloria didn't think of herself as cruel. She thought of herself as protecting her son. She wasn't keeping him from other women. She was keeping him safe. She wasn't destroying his relationships. She was maintaining the sanctity of their bond. But deep down, in the part of her mind she didn't allow herself to think about, she knew the truth: she was terrified of abandonment. She had lost her husband. She was determined that her son would never leave her. And the way to ensure that was to make sure no one else could give him a reason to stay. By the time Chisholm was 32, he was completely isolated. He had no girlfriend. He had no close friends. They'd all gotten tired of coming second to his mother. He had work and he had Gloria. That was his world. That was the prison he'd built with her, brick by brick, year by year, until he couldn't remember what freedom felt like. Zainab was different from the beginning. She wasn't trying to win Gloria over. She wasn't careful or deferential. She was just herself. She was a lawyer. She had her own apartment, her own friends, her own life that didn't revolve around Chisholm. She met Chisholm at a conference. He asked her out. She said yes because he made her laugh, not because she needed him to complete her. She went into the relationship with the understanding that she was choosing to be with him, not that she was rescuing him or fixing him or making her life about him. When Chisholm first mentioned his mother's involvement in his life, Zainab laughed. She thought he was joking. A man in his 30s, still asking his mother's permission to have a girlfriend. She thought it was adorable in a deeply sad way. Then she met Gloria. And she understood immediately what was happening. Gloria didn't even try to hide it. Within the first 5 minutes of meeting Zainab, she said things like, "My son is very close to me. I don't think you understand how important family is to him. And, His last girlfriend didn't work out because she was too demanding of his time. And he needs a woman who respects the bond between a mother and son. Zainab had all of it. And she didn't back down. She didn't become smaller. She didn't apologize for existing. Instead, she said to Gloria, "I understand that you two are close. That's beautiful. But I'm not here to compete with you. I'm here because I care about Chisholm. And I think you should too, which means wanting him to have a full life, not just a life that revolves around making you feel secure." Gloria's face went cold. In 3 sentences, Zainab had done something no other woman had done. She'd treated Gloria's behavior as a choice, not a condition. She'd made it clear that she saw the problem. And she'd given Gloria a choice, evolve or lose her son completely. After that first meeting, Zainab didn't come to Gloria's house for weeks. She didn't call. She didn't try to win her over. She just loved Chisholm, and when he asked why she wasn't making an effort with his mother, she said something that cut him deeply. "Your mother is treating her fear like it's your responsibility to fix it. And you keep accepting that responsibility. But Chisholm, that's not love. That's a burden. And I'm not going to carry it for you." For the first time, Chisholm was being forced to see his situation clearly. He had a woman who loved him enough to tell him the truth. He had a woman who wouldn't accept his mother's dysfunction as an excuse. He had a woman who was offering him actual freedom. But to take it, he would have to do something he'd never done before. He would have to choose her over his mother. And he didn't know if he could bear his mother's reaction. It started when Chisholm told his mother that he was moving in with Zainab. Just said it. No preamble. No asking for permission. Just, "I'm moving out in a month." Gloria didn't yell. She did something worse. She became very quiet. Very still. And then she said, "If you leave this house for that woman, don't bother coming back. I will not be disrespected like this." Chisholm's hands shook. He wanted to cave. He wanted to say, "Okay, Mama. I'll stay. I'll send Zainab away. Just please don't make me choose." But he didn't. He called Zainab. "Come to my mother's house," he said. "Right now. I need you here." Zainab came. And when she arrived, Gloria was sitting on the sofa, her posture rigid, her face an expression of absolute betrayal. This was her son's girlfriend. This was the woman who had taken him from her. "You're not good enough for my son," Gloria said, and Zainab did something that shocked both Gloria and Chisholm. She sat down. Right there on the chair across from Gloria. She sat down like she had been invited. Like she belonged. "You know what?" Zainab said quietly. "You're right. I'm probably not good enough for him. But that's not the real issue, is it? The real issue is that you're scared. You lost your husband. And you decided that losing Chisholm would kill you. So you decided to never let him go. That's not love, Gloria. That's fear. And it's destroying your son." Gloria's face crumpled. For a moment, all her defense mechanisms fell away. She looked like what she actually was, a terrified, lonely woman clinging to the only person she had left. "He's all I have," Gloria whispered. "Exactly," Zainab said. "And that's the problem. He's all you have because you've made sure he's all you have. You've pushed away friends. You've pushed away girlfriends. You've made yourself the only person who can love him, the only person who can understand him. And now you're losing him anyway, because even he can't sustain a life that small." "I did it to protect him," Gloria said. "No," Zainab said. "You did it to protect yourself. You can't live through your son. You can't make his life mean something so that your loss stops hurting. That's not how it works. And Chisholm deserves better than being your emotional support system." Gloria couldn't answer. Because she knew it was true. She had always known. She had just never allowed herself to face it. Chisholm was crying. Tears running down his face. "I love you, Mama," he said. "But I can't be your entire world. It's too much. I'm drowning in it. And Gloria finally had her son. Not the version of him she had created in her mind. Not the version who existed to comfort her and make her feel needed. But the actual Chisholm. A man who loved her but who was suffering because of it. And in that moment, she had to choose. She could hold on to him harder, or she could finally let him go. Gloria chose to hold on. After that confrontation, she told Chisholm, if you move in with her, I don't want to see you anymore. You're choosing her over your own mother. That's the ultimate betrayal. Chisholm moved in with Zainab anyway. And Gloria made good on her promise. When he came by a week later to check on her, she pretended not to be home. When he called, she didn't answer. When he sent messages, she ignored them. For 6 months, Gloria cut her son out of her life. And in those 6 months, something unexpected happened. She realized she was completely alone. She had no friends. She'd spent so long focusing on Chisholm that she'd allowed all her other relationships to atrophy. She had no hobbies. Her entire life had been centered around him. She had no purpose, because she had made his existence her purpose. She sat in her house every day. She watched her neighbors through the window. She saw families laughing together. She saw mothers and adult children with healthy boundaries. And she realized something devastating. She had done this to herself. She had created the loneliness she was experiencing. She had pushed away her only child because she was too afraid to let him become a full person. One day, she found herself at Chisholm's wedding. Not because she was invited. Chisholm had given up sending invitations after the 5th ignored one. But because his neighbor, Mrs. Okonkwo, took pity on her and drove her there. She stood in the back of the church, watching her son marry Zainab. She watched him smile, genuinely, fully, in a way she had never seen before. She watched him hold Zainab's hand like she was precious. And she realized, she had never made him smile like that. She had only made him afraid. She had only made him feel guilty. At that wedding, standing alone in the back of a church full of people, Gloria finally understood the price of her need. She had tried to keep her son from leaving her. And in doing so, she had driven him so far away that she would spend the rest of her life reaching for him and coming up empty. After the wedding, Gloria did something she hadn't done in years. She asked for help. She called a therapist. She sat in an office and told a stranger everything. She talked about Taiwo's death. She talked about the fear that had never left her. She talked about building a prison for her son out of her own trauma. She talked about losing him anyway, which was exactly what she'd been trying to prevent. The therapist didn't tell her it was okay. The therapist didn't make her feel better. The therapist just said, "You've been living your son's life for 30 years. It's time to start living your own." Gloria started coming to therapy twice a week. She started journaling. She started processing her grief, the real grief, not the grief that had been masquerading as motherhood. She started accepting that she couldn't have saved Taiwo. And that wasn't her fault. And it didn't mean she had to destroy her son to keep him safe. 3 months into therapy, she sat down and wrote Chisholm a letter. Not a short apology. A real letter. In it, she acknowledged everything. She told him she had spent his entire life grieving her husband by controlling her son. She told him that she was terrified of abandonment and had made him pay the price for that terror. She told him that she finally understood the damage she had done. And then she wrote, "I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to forget what I did. But I want you to know that I'm trying to become someone different. Not for you. For me. Because I finally realized that I lost your father, and I lost my life, and I nearly lost you, and somewhere in all that, I lost myself. I'm trying to find myself now. And I'm starting by learning how to love you without trying to own you." When Chisholm read that letter, he cried. Not because he forgave her immediately, forgiveness would take time. But because his mother had finally chosen him over her fear. She had chosen truth over control. And that was the first step toward actually having her son back in her life. 1 year later, Gloria was different. She had gone back to school. She was taking a creative writing class at the university. She had made friends, real friends, not people she kept at a distance. She had hobbies that had nothing to do with Chisholm. She had built a life that was about her, for the first time in decades. She and Chisholm had started having Sunday dinners. Not because she demanded it, but because she had become someone he wanted to see. She was lighter. She was funny. She was finally becoming the woman she might have been if grief hadn't derailed her life. And then one Sunday, Zainab came to dinner carrying something. A positive pregnancy test. Gloria was going to be a grandmother. Gloria held that positive test and she started to cry. Not tears of fear this time. Tears of joy. Tears of gratitude for a second chance. Tears of relief that her son had fought to be with someone who loved him well. Tears of finally being able to celebrate his life instead of control it. I can't wait to be a grandmother, she said to Zainab. And I want you to know something, I won't do to this grandchild what I did to Chisholm. I'm going to be present, but I'm going to let you two be parents. I'm going to be a support, but I'm not going to be the center of this baby's world. That's your job. Not mine. Zainab hugged her. And Gloria realized that this was the moment she'd been missing, not the moment when Chisholm chose her, but the moment when she was secure enough in herself that she could celebrate his happiness even when it didn't revolve around her. When Chisholm held his daughter for the first time and looked at his mother, Gloria made a promise to herself, this child would know what healthy love looks like. This child would have a grandmother who loved her but didn't need her. This child would be free. Gloria had finally learned the difference between love and possession. And in learning it, she got her son back. Not as her emotional crutch, but as her child. Which was so much better. If you're watching this and you recognize Gloria in yourself, if you're the parent who can't let your child go, if you're the person whose fear masquerades as love, if you're making your child responsible for your emotional survival, I want you to hear something. Your child is not responsible for healing your wounds. Your child is not supposed to be your everything. Your child is not a project to control or a way to fix your own broken heart. Gloria lost her husband. That was real trauma. That was real pain. And she had every right to grieve. But she didn't have the right to make her son pay for her grief. She didn't have the right to make his life small so that her loss could feel manageable. She didn't have the right to mistake control for love. And maybe you've been doing the same thing. Maybe you lost someone. Maybe you're terrified of loss. Maybe you think the way to prevent abandonment is to make yourself so necessary that your child can't leave. But I'm here to tell you, that's not how it works. The way to keep people in your life is not to cage them. It's to become someone worth coming back to. It's to have your own life so full of purpose and joy that your child wants to be around you, not because they have to, but because you're genuinely interested. Because you're happy. Because you're not drowning them in your need. Gloria thought she was loving her son by controlling him. But true love means letting him be free. True love means building a life for yourself so you're not entirely dependent on him for meaning. True love means being someone he chooses to love, not someone he feels obligated to love. The moment Gloria let Chisholm go was the moment she finally got him back. And the moment she found herself, her own dreams, her own friends, her own purpose, was the moment she became the kind of mother he actually wanted to have in his life. So if you're holding on too tight, I want to ask you something, what are you afraid of? And what would it take for you to start building a life that doesn't depend on your child to complete it? Because the paradox of love is this, the more you try to keep someone, the more likely you are to lose them. But the more willing you are to let them go, the more likely they are to choose to stay. Gloria learned that. And it saved her relationship with her son. And more importantly, it saved her from a life of lonely control. That can be your story too. If you're brave enough to let go.